Hello, this is Michael Williams, and today we're going to be talking about the power of extending your first few words. Why would you want to do that, and what does it mean to extend your first few words? So, when you extend your first few words, what you're doing is you're stretching. You're stretching your first few words. And one of the reasons that you want to do this is because it will make you feel more relaxed. The other reason that you want to do it is because it's tricking your brain. So here's what I mean. If normally you struggle with getting started speaking, it is often a result of being fixated on what you're trying to say. So you want to say something, all of a sudden your airways close up and nothing comes out. You block. And you have something that you're trying to say. You're trying to ask a question, or you want to make a comment or a remark. So your brain becomes fixated on that goal, right? That action. And no matter what you do, you just continue to try to push through that. So what we have to do is we have to trick your brain. We have to trick the way you go about getting started. Now, how long do you do this? You're not tricking your brain forever. You're doing it until speaking becomes easier for you, until speaking and getting started becomes automatic. Once that happens, then you no longer need to think about tricking your brain or how to get started speaking. You just do it like everyone else does it. So, extending your first few words tricks your brain in that you're trying to get started speaking differently than you usually do. So your brain always looks for patterns. It looks for patterns. It looks for patterns in your environment. It looks for patterns in your thinking, in your behavior. It looks at your memories, and it looks to see if it can match what's currently happening with something that's happened before. It looks at your environment, your speaking environment, and says, okay, have we been here before? If so, how do we usually speak? How do we usually act? And when that happens, then your brain says, okay, let's run this script, right? It's like a program, it runs automatically. The reason it does that is to conserve energy, so it doesn't have to consciously think about and plan out how we're going to behave, how we're going to speak, how we're going to get started. So automatically, for example, when you're answering the phone or introducing yourself, your brain runs a script. And if that script contains blocking, stuttering, then that's what you're going to do. So what we have to do is we have to rewrite the script. And one of the ways that we begin to rewrite the script is to have you actually start whatever you're going to say differently. Start it differently. And it's that starting differently that begins to rewrite the script. So extending is stretching your first few words. We talked about, I believe, in the last video, if you watched it, using introductory words, phrases, and sounds. Very, very natural thing that people do. Okay, well, so. Some people use like. I prefer not to use too many likes, but you will occasionally hear me use an ah. And I'm not even doing it consciously. It's just natural for people to use an ah. I think President Obama does it. I just did it right then, right? So it's very natural to do that. You want to monitor that. You want to minimize those, especially when you're making a formal presentation. And for the most part, I'm able to do that. Sometimes if I'm doing a video like this and I'm sitting, I'm in more of a conversational mode, so you will hear me use a few more ahs. But they're very natural transitional sounds, natural ways to get started. And I encourage you to employ them, especially if you struggle with getting started. And then begin to monitor and to reduce how often you use them. Okay, so this extending is another way to help you get started. So an example would be, If I wanted to get started, like I just did, notice how I didn't say the word if real fast. I said, if I wanted to get started. So I extended all of those words. If I wanted to get started. Now, you may think that it sounds strange, but actually it doesn't. When you're in a conversation and you actually extend, in fact, when you're speaking well, you probably do this already. And I've watched people, remember, I've spent probably thousands of hours now watching people, and seeing them go into natural speech where they're not really thinking, and their pitch goes higher, they start inflecting more, they extend more of their words, they extend during transitions. Well, and they just do it naturally. Then all of a sudden, when they go back into their stuttering mode of speaking, then everything gets tight and short, and they're not extending, and they're not inflecting or modulating their voice. I watch this happen all the time. So the idea here is for you to extend those first few words. So practice as you're getting started saying something. Use an introductory word or sound. Words are better. And then extend those first few words. If you're really anxious, if you have to give a presentation or you're making a comment in a meeting and you're really anxious, you may want to start off really slow. Why? Because your body wants to start off fast. So when you're really anxious, your body wants to tighten up, tense up, and go fast to get it out, to get it over, and push it out. And that's when you run into a lot of trouble. So you want to do just the opposite of that. You want to start slower than normal. And you want to extend and pause those first several words, right? First several words to get you started. Because once you do that, you're giving yourself time to get the air flowing, to relax yourself down, to say, oh, okay, I am speaking. I am able to get this out. Yeah. As opposed to being tight, tense, air passage closed off, and then you're just forcing it out, and then you're getting frustrated. But if you just relax and say, so what I wanted to ask is, and you may think that people won't listen. It's not true. It's not true. If this is the way you speak, and if when you speak clearly and you speak confidently, people will listen to you. People will begin to listen to you. I can't tell you how many times this has happened to clients of mine. I can't tell you how many times it happens to me over the years. So take your time. You control your speaking environment. Don't let other people control your pace. Control how quickly you speak. Control how you get started. So extending your first few words allows you to gain control. It allows you to become more relaxed, and not just extending your first few words, but extending more of your words while you speak allows you to do the same thing. Stay relaxed, speak smoother. So when you hear me talking about speaking smoother, it's due to this extending of your words. Just working with someone yesterday and watched how they spoke when we first started, and then had him practice just slowing down and extending his words. Speech automatically smoothed out. So what does that tell us? It tells us that one of the things that he's working on is developing this habit of relaxing, slowing down, and extending his words more. His speech was completely smooth, very relaxed, sounded perfectly normal. Now, at first, when you're working on this technique or strategy or skill, it may not sound very natural at first, but very quickly you'll be able to naturalize it, right? You'll be able to make it sound natural as you're extending those first few words. So don't worry about when you're practicing it. Just, well, this sounds weird. This doesn't sound natural. Of course it's not. Right? You're just learning it. Of course it's going to sound unnatural or strange, extending your first when you're not used to it. But once you get used to it and listen to people watch people, observe people who do it. Lots of people do it. Right? You probably just didn't catch it. You do it sometimes. You listen to it, so I didn't even know that that's what they were doing. Okay, so every one of the skills that I'm teaching you in this series are skills that excellent speakers use, that exceptional communicators, powerful presenters, every last one of them. Of course, they may use more, they may use some different, but they all use these skills, all of them. Why is that important? It's important because, remember, the foundation of Pro 90D is replacing your current way of thinking, that is anticipating that you're going to stutter, that you're going to, seeing yourself, that is your identity, your self-concept, seeing yourself as a stutterer, replacing that with something new, something better, something different, is replacing the way you currently speak with a smoother way, with a more confident way, with a clearer way of speaking. And if you boil all this down scientifically, it really is about creating new neurological pathways, new neurological connections. It's about learning. It really is about learning. It's about building new habits. And you are perfectly capable of learning and building new habits, building new skills and building new habits. It doesn't happen overnight. It can't. It's impossible. Yes, you can experience a change, a short-term change in a day, in an hour, in a couple of days, for a couple of weeks, but you're always going to revert back to that stronger permanent network, right? The stronger permanent neural network that's there. It's all neural anatomy, right? It all is based on your brain. This is where it all starts. So you can do this. You can do this. And I'm about to launch a series entitled something like "You Can Retrain Your Brain to Stop Stuttering and Start Confidently Saying What You Want to Say when you want to say it." You can consciously rewire your brain, right? You can consciously retrain and rewire your brain. And I'm going to be showing you how to do that. And I've already showed you in many different ways. We're going to pull it all together and show you the science of how this works. So I just want to check in, see if anyone has any questions while we're here. So if you're watching this in a place where you can ask questions, feel free to do so. We're going to wrap up in just a couple of minutes. I don't want to take these any longer than what they need to, but the idea here is for you to understand that extending your first few words, extending yourself. Someone says, well, Michael, I can't even get the first few words out because I'm blocking, right? There's no air at all coming out. Okay, so here's why. You're currently fixated on what you want to say and on saying something in a certain way at a certain time. So you want to say something and your brain says no. So then you keep trying to force whatever it is that you want to say out at that time. So what must we do? We have to change some of those variables, right? We change change the timing, when you want to say it. We change the way that you want to say it, okay? So how do we do this? If you want to say something right now, well, say it a second later, a couple of seconds later. If you want to say why, then say so why. If you wanted to say why, then say, why do we need to do this? So why do we? So what I'm saying is you change the way that you're going to say whatever it is by extending it. Does this make sense? If it doesn't make sense, practice it, and it will start to make sense through your experience. The other thing that we talked about a little earlier, I'm just kind of reviewing right now. If you hear me repeating myself, it's because I'm doing it on purpose. So we talk about using introductory words, phrases, and sounds. Why do we want to do this? So in other words, you just change the variable. Rather than saying, why do we want to do this? Why do we want to do this? Right? You just added a little sound. And why do we want to do this? So why do we want to do, well, why do we, so now I've just added another sound. So the brain is not fixated on well or or so, right, or and. It's fixated on why. I can't say why. So you quickly add another variable, or you change a variable, which is the word that you say before that word. You change the timing. Okay, I don't have to say this exact moment. Just pause for just a second. Then it kind of tricks your brain. It tricks your brain. This absolutely works. You have to practice it. You have to try it. You have to believe that it works. And you have to look around and see how other people speak. And you have to observe yourself when you're speaking well. You already do the things that we're talking about. So just observe yourself when you're relaxed, when you're speaking well, and you'll see yourself doing these things. Okay, hopefully this makes sense to you. What I want to encourage you to do is, I believe this might be video 4 or step 4 in the series, 7 steps to quickly achieve smooth, calm, and confident speech. And you can find that series on my website, but I'm also going to go ahead and paste the link right here for you. Or actually, I'll paste the link in the reply box or in the comment box so that you can get to that series. Okay? So if there are no questions, and if there are questions, please feel free to leave your questions in the comment box. You can also hit me up on my website, pro90d.com. Feel free to do that. And for those of you that are watching this who have been taking my courses, or even if you haven't been taking my courses, but what I've been saying makes sense logically. And it should make sense because it's based on science. It's scientifically based. It's true. It's just, I know that everyone says that, but it's simply how we learn. It's flat out. This is how you learn. You can learn a new way of thinking. You can learn a new way of speaking. You can develop new habits. That's got to give you the hope that this can work. The thing I'm not telling you is that you can do it overnight. And that's what people don't want to hear. They want something, I want to get rid of this and do it overnight. I can't change that, right? All I can do is tell you the truth and tell you that just like you learn any other skill, you'll learn this one. And learning another skill takes time. And this is complex, right? This is complex. So it's going to take time. It's going to take more time. But that doesn't mean that you can't experience super fast results, right? Think about this. Within a month, 2 months, 3 months, your speech can be 80 to 90 to 95% better, literally, right? I mean, it's life-changing within a few months. And you'll have all the skills and tools to continue that and make that automatic. So if you've been struggling with your speech for 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, 2 or 3 decades, what's 2 or 3 months? It's a drop in the bucket. It's absolutely nothing, right? Think about that. Put that into perspective. So all the time that you spend trying this device and trying this 3-day program, buying this program, trying that, all the time and money that you spend, and then all of a sudden 6 months goes by, you're right back to where you started. A year goes by, right back to, in 3 months, your speech could have been 80 to 90% or more better. And then you just continue just to work on that. But instead, I mean, we all do this, right? We just jump around. We're trying to find the quickest way, the fastest way, the easiest way. I want to cure this. I want to get rid of it. It's not going to work. You're going to end up coming right back. You're going to end up coming back to 1 or 2 places. You're going to give up hope and say, oh, all those people out there that say you can stop stuttering, they're lying. They're just trying to get my money. Or there really is no cure for stuttering. Or I'm always going to be like this. So you end up there, giving up hope, living a life beneath your potential. Or you will end up saying, okay, let me just settle myself down, understand this is a long-term strategy, and that I can start to see dramatic results within a short period of time if I focus, if I put in effort, if I work hard. I can begin to see results, and I'll have to continue to work for a while, but that's better than staying the way that I'm staying. If you do that, that will be one of the two places that you end up, right? So it's totally up to you. So for those of you that would like to have a deep conversation with me and experience the way that I coach, I want to invite you to click a link that I'm going to put here. And there are some questions that I'll need for you to answer before you schedule an appointment. But if you are ready to invest a reasonable amount of time and a reasonable amount of money, then I want you to contact me. For those of you that are not able to do that or not willing to do that, that's okay. That's why I have the free resources. And I'm giving you everything you need in these free resources. All you have to do is practice it. You have to practice it. Okay. So thank you so much for joining me today. Please begin to look for some of the links and do check out the series, The 7 Steps, which I'll put a link for that too. Okay. So we'll see you next time.